Go ahead and play it. Let me see what the.
It's probably like last time my voice was like way higher than the guitar, which is actually it's fine.
Yeah, I prefer it than the opposite.
Yeah.
That's registering about like -12.
Remember what they say about? Oh yeah, by the river. There once
Yeah,
with my friend.
that's pretty good.
Let's do it. Let's crush it.
Alright,
We'll do a quick intro. You'll put a straight song.
I'll say something real quick.
All right, let's do it.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
We're starting with a song. Here we go. This is a Nirvana song called "Oh Me." If I had to lose a mile, if I had to touch feeling, I would lose my soul, way I do. I don't have to think, only have to do it. Results are always perfect, that's old news. Would you like to hear my voice, sprinkled in emotion, invented at your birth? I can't see into me, my whole expanse I cannot see. Formulate infinity from deep inside. Formulate infinity from deep inside. If I had to lose a mile, if I had to touch feeling, I would lose my soul, way I do. I don't have to think, only have to do it. Results are always perfect, that's old news. Would you like to hear my voice, sprinkled in emotion, invented at your birth? I can't see into me, my whole expanse cannot see. Formulate infinity from deep inside. Formulate infinity from deep inside. Formulate infinity from deep inside me. Formulate infinity from deep inside.
Oh, that was really good.
Oh, thanks.
I don't think I've ever heard that song.
It's a Nirvana song.
Yeah.
I just wanted to play that one. That's just an old cover song. So Brian, we were talking about death earlier.
Earlier
we've,
today?
No, just like a couple minutes ago.
Okay, yeah.
We've talked about it a little bit.
Just feeling like,
Oh, feeling
that
like you're gonna
feeling.
die?
yeah, and running away from that feeling, I guess.
Ugh. I've literally run from it so many
Yeah,
times.
you have to. When you feel it, you're like, oh, this isn't good.
Like, I need to run.
Do you run?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, if I feel it in bed, I get up and I run. Like, I start, like, moving really quickly.
Wow, that's awesome. I had that experience before, like when I got concussed after I fell off that rock, and I was like literally concussed for like maybe 15, 20 minutes by myself. And when I got up,
Were you like,
well, I came to
"Durr,
consciousness.
durr."
No, when I came to consciousness, I was like, I need to move. Like, I'm gonna, like, this isn't good. Like, I'm by myself in
Yeah.
the wilderness. Like, I need to get up, you know. So I don't know. It's kind of like.
Yeah,
What
when
are
I
you
think
talking
of dying, I go run, run. Like
Oh,
I literally think of that.
Mm.
That thought comes to my head so instantly.
Well, we're here at the reservoir again, and we've changed the acronym, even though Brian just thought of a way better one.
The podcast used to be called Smartest Idiots in the Room.
Yes.
The acronym SIR.
Yes.
And Jake's recently changed it to...
I did, yeah. To Surrounding Indigo Reservoir.
Surrounding Indigo Reservoir.
Yeah, no, but you thought of a better one.
No, I mean, honestly, you were just like, try and think of one. It's hard.
And
like,
you came up with one
Jared actually came up with like 1,000 of them, but
instantly.
Brian
only
came up with-
900 of them were better.
What?
The one you came up with is way better.
Okay, slightly informed realists.
That's pretty good.
Slightly informed realists.
It's kind of a play off the original title,
Which is
Is it not?
nice.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so he
Smartest
was
idiots
so
in the room,
all right. So
yeah.
he's not that smart. All right.
This person in
All
the room.
right. So we can
They're only
explain it.
slightly informed.
Yeah, we're not idiots anymore.
But it's funny because I feel like some of like the least informed people have the strongest opinions about things. Why?
Well, I don't know how important is being informed.
Have the
like-
strongest opinions or
Yeah.
the best opinions?
Just strong opinions.
Oh.
Well, what is being
I mean-
informed? Like, someone can say you're not informed,
Like
but does that
aware-
mean that they're informed? Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't mean that. It just
Right.
means you're not informed.
I'm saying informed can mean different things.
What?
So it's like you might as well just feel
I mean-
feel
Kill
informed.
yourself.
No.
So Jake, what were you? I mean, we didn't really talk about death that much, but it's
Oh, but it just kind of
Really-
stuck out to me.
really all around us all the time, and it's like something that a lot of people feel really uncomfortable to talk about.
Oh yeah, why though? We're all
Oh,
gonna
well,
die.
Yeah.
What?
We're all gonna
I mean-
die.
What? What?
We're all gonna die. You want me to keep saying it?
All right, this is actually news to Jared. Jared's never going to die.
There is a sliver of infinity in me, and I kind of truly believe it. Like I
That's
gotta
good.
believe I'm not gonna die. Like in a way.
Interesting.
You mean like
Well, like at least
like immortality,
Uh,
or just like a bigger picture?
like.
I think what you said was actually really, really profound.
Oh, then I'll leave it.
Okay.
then I won't expand on it because
I'm
I'll
only
ruin it.
because I'm only slightly informed.
Hey-oh.
But yeah, let's get back to the point. Not necessarily death, but what prompted you to change the name of the cast? You know, this is
Oh.
something that was kind of like an old project.
No,
Maybe you
it-
could even just give us a
Oh well,
or maybe
yeah,
it's just a
I can
spontaneous
try.
decision. I don't know.
I mean,
Did
I
it have
basically
any
just had to
meaning?
decide. I mean, I was like, I wanted to keep Sir, and then I wanted to have Reservoir in there because we've been meeting at the Reservoir. So then I was like, I gotta find out what I should be. That was like, I looked up Google like
Why Indigo?
because it was the best of the horrible choices.
Oh, okay. There's nothing about
Indigo. Well, it's. I mean, it's right. It's not as thought out as yours. That's why we should change to yours. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't even think about mine for a second. Like, I mean,
Slightly informed realists is better, but in the fact that it plays off the last one. But Surrounding Indigo Reservoir is like it doesn't roll off the tongue for one.
Do you think that's important?
No.
Something about names are important, though.
Yeah,
Like-
but sometimes you just have to name something. That's what I did with this. That's it's like naming a song or naming.
I think it's kind of like a
naming the title of your paper or something like that, like or the title of a film. Like you kind of want it to stand out, but it's like it doesn't matter. Like a name of a band. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
I don't know,
gonna
I
stay with you, but it's
Yeah.
not the end all be all. Like I had to continue making other decisions.
All right, the content's
Yeah.
probably more valuable, but
Sure.
at the same time, it's like if you're thinking about your name as like your brand or like something
Sure.
that is like a key reference or like a mission, like you can get really clever with your naming, you know, and or it can be kind of just like unrelated.
What are you
you
saying?
know?
We should. What do you? What should the name be?
No, I don't know.
Nah, I don't know either.
It's really not that important.
Sir. Fuck.
I
lost
wanted to bring up a Peterson thing, the Adler thing, and I wanted to just apply that to what we're
Can you tell us
talking
who
about.
Peterson is?
Oh,
and
yeah,
what
so
the
Jordan
Adler thing is
Peterson,
for
he's a-
context.
Yeah, no, you're good. Jordan Peterson's a clinical psychologist and professor from Canada. I think he's like teaches at the University of Toronto. But he kind of got really big in the media probably 2 years ago, and then he started like spreading kind of his ideas, I guess, and people were coming to listen to him in like these big auditoriums. So I listened to some of his material, and I really like what he says. And he's talking about like older psychologists, like Adler, and like I'm really into Carl Jung, but Adler, I don't know his first name. It might be Carl. Well, there's another Carl in there somewhere, but have this axiom about conversation and therapy, as far as like conversational therapy. Like, say you go see a therapist and you're trying to solve something in your life, you know, you're just trying to be honest. Like, the two axioms is like basically be honest and then like want the best for both parties, like you and the therapist, is like a therapeutic relationship. And therefore what Peterson says is any relationship you have can be a therapeutic relationship if those are the preconditions. That's what I wanted to say. So like what we're doing here is technically therapeutic in a way that's like we're not sitting down on a therapist chair, but it's like it's successful and just being good conversation.
What
do you
I
think
took
about
away
that?
from that is like a therapeutic relationship. The basis, according to Peterson, or still in Peterson,
Sure.
you're essentially saying that like both parties want like a benevolent outcome for the other party.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm
So-
gonna kind of pull something from a prior conversation.
Go for
So
it.
what happens when you have like, I'm gonna create like a little visualization. So you have like one person on one side of a riverbank, and they feel super strongly opinionated about something. On the other side of the riverbank is somebody who holds essentially the opposite opinion. But they've decided that despite their like opposing opinions or viewpoints or stances on whatever this thing is, we don't even have to make it a thing.
Anything.
You two people that are like on different, ends of the spectrum or whatever. And they decide that like it's caused them a lot of grief to like just constantly be at odds with each other. And they want to create this bridge across the riverbank. And they want to like do that on the basis of a therapeutic relationship. So I guess my question back to you, Jake, and we kind of asked this last time off the record, like how do you bring two people from maybe different schools of thought or different opinions? How could you start to set up the foundation for such a beneficial relationship?
Yeah. Basically the two preconditions. Like once you believe those two things,
Can you
that,
say those two things again
that
for
you
us?
want the best for yourself and the other person, and you're going
Okay.
to tell the truth no matter what happens. Like, if you're going to speak your truth, I guess, is the best way to put that. Like, for me, like, that would be some ugly stuff, me telling the truth about everything. So I don't tell the truth about everything, because I don't want people knowing things or something. So
That's a fair statement. That's a
just-
very truthful statement right there. I
there you
mean,
go. So then, like, I'm just trying to push the truth forward with my words, my truth or whatever. And so once both parties do that, and they want the best for the other person, it automatically becomes a therapeutic relationship. That's the idea that I just thought applied to this podcast and some of our conversations. So I wanted to start with that, I guess.
Oh, I hate the truth so much.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever been true. I don't think I've ever nakedly talked the truth with anyone ever.
So are you
it's
lying to us
definitely-
right now about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it right now. You're just saying that was a true statement, was it not?
But it was really cool. Like, for instance, so the book that I've talked about, Mistborn, one of the lines that the protagonist talks about or says is the best liars often tell the truth most of the time. So I feel like that kind of fits me a little bit.
Oh.
Like, I feel like most of the time I'm like really, really open, and that allows people to trust me in a way where if I lie, it doesn't.
They don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I'm a really good liar. I'm a really good liar because I tell the truth so much.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds true to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lying right now. But no,
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
just think it's so hard to
What are you gonna
establish
do
that
about it? You're just
relationship.
gonna like let it do that thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't know where to really.
Well, I was just wondering
good
about like when you're saying, when you're saying that, it's part of a therapeutic relationship to tell the truth. I'm just curious about how people end up in situations in which they feel comfortable enough to tell the truth, and like how that like manifests.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess you have to know that that's the best way out, no matter what happens. Like, it's almost like, I mean, there's like famous quotes about the truth. What's the guy who says, don't tell a lie, or always tell the truth. You won't have to remember. That was Mark Twain. Always tell the truth. You don't have to remember what you said. Like, you don't have to remember your lies, because like you're always like being transparent, so you don't have to be ashamed of anything you've done because you tell the truth anyway. So that would be one reason why you could do it. It would help.
Right, but if you lie only some of the time, you don't have to remember that much.
Right.
And then also, sometimes lying is for the other person. Like sometimes I feel like I will lie because either it's like for two reasons. It's like, A, I don't want to upset someone else. And then B, because I don't want to bring someone into my problems, which I don't feel like it's just not necessary all the time to like bring someone into your negativity.
Yeah. Sure.
What do you mean? Like, if someone's like, hey, are you okay? And you're not okay, and you're like, yeah, I'm fine. Could that be like a really trivial example?
In a way, that's a trivial example, but like, I mean, I relate to that because I really dislike when people ask me if I'm okay, because
Is it kind of triggering for you?
Yes, it is triggering for me. Like, that's not the way I
what you mean.
react. Like, I don't, like, if I don't feel well, or like if I'm just like in a pissy mood, like I just don't, there's never going to be a time where someone says, am I okay? And then that causes me to like spill out with what I want to say
Like,
or how I'm feeling.
yeah.
It's just like, that's not the result of that conversation.
Yeah. That's a tough one to deal with anyway, because if you're on the person on the outside, if you're like the concerned third party, the person looking in to the person that's hurting,
Right.
it's like you want to be like, hey, I love you, I care about you, like,
Right,
I
but
kind of
there's-
see you're a little down,
yeah.
like, do you want to talk about it? And likely it's like, no, I don't want to talk about it, like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say to you about it, like,
Yeah.
or you just maybe, I don't know, man, it's tricky. Mental health, like, our emotions are really tricky, like, we get so pulled into them.
We could relate this, I mean, if you let me, back to
Yeah.
I mean, COVID
Take
a
the
little
floor.
bit. I just wanted to say, like, I think people have been wanting that.
Wanting what?
Well, I think we just have to be aware of what COVID's doing to the individual.
Oh
you
my
know?
God. Yeah, there's certainly, like, at least,
Something to think about. I mean, I get excited when I hear like everything's opening back up. I'm like, I can't wait.
yeah,
So-
well, yeah, it's a sense of, like, freedom and normalcy that's being, like, given back to us in a way.
Yeah.
But, no, I know a lot of people that are...
It's sorry.
No. Just going to say, like, a lot of people are really, really going through a hard time. Like, people already go through stuff in the best of times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
No, I see your point.
yeah, I mean, I'm talking to people, and, like, I'm actually a little surprised because, like, I get it, and, like, I understand. I empathize with people that are hurting, but when people are like, COVID has changed the world, like we can't, do this anymore. We have to. When I just start to hear about all, like, the policies and procedures and, like, the way that people are choosing to change the way they interact with other humans, I don't know. For me, it just all seems kind of startling, and maybe it's just a necessary change for a reason that we don't understand now. But I don't know. For me, it's a little bit like when people just get into, like, that fear space, and they're just like, you can just hear the panic in their voice, and you can just hear the uncertainty. Like, say
Yeah.
someone opens up, say they don't kind of deflect and are just like, I'm afraid, like, my work's unsteady, my relationship's on the rocks, like, and they just go off and they just open up. You know, it's always kind of startling when someone does that, but it can actually be really freeing. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, or I'm trying to go with it is like, yeah, I just like look around all the time and see people that are just like in a really rough spot because of the whole COVID thing, because of the implications of like staying home and like quarantining and like being afraid of like fear of scarcity. And I mean, the list goes on. And sometimes it can be kind of hard to like relate to people that are going through stuff, but
Sure.
I feel like we have to just show them we care. We don't have to like force. There's no process you can force
Yeah.
upon anyone. You just be
Yeah.
I love you. I care about you.
Yeah. Sure.
People get weird about that too. Like, you love me? What are you, a weirdo? What do you love me for? Don't love me?
So, Jared, did you?
I'm sorry if that was too much of a tangent. I don't
No,
know.
it was good.
But
As far as the truth and what and sorry, we.
do you want to do a volley of truth quotes real quick? You already said one, Jake.
I did. Mark Twain.
Can you
what
want
do
to
you
say it
got?
again real quick?
Let's see.
I did one, I think.
The beauty about telling the truth is that you don't have to remember what you said.
Oh, okay. What was yours, Jared?
Mine was the best liars tell the truth most of the time, I think.
Okay.
The best,
Yeah, that was
oh,
it.
yeah.
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 Okay. Mine is truth is one and paths are many. And that's the Swami Satchidananda quote.
What
That's
is
not
that?
mine. Oh, I mean, like, we're talking about like truth is like an absolutism, as truth is like
As
Like
an
a-
objective reality,
Yeah.
which might not exist.
But I would argue that it does. I mean, we couldn't. I heard that we couldn't speak. That's another quote. We can't speak unless we believe something's true enough that to say. Do you know what I mean? Like, we couldn't exchange ideas if there wasn't like facts or like something we could talk about.
But I think it might be facts in a sense that you believe they're facts, you know? Like when you actually like abstractly think about it, it's like, okay, maybe there's no objective
This
reality.
is when I feel very slightly informed, to go back to the acronym, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to say there, you know?
Yeah.
As far
I
as
mean-
objective truth, and like I only know a quote or two, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
So
I was...
where are you coming from with objective truth? So that's like, it's not my truth that I've realized, but it's something that is an objective truth. What does that mean for
So an
you
objective
exactly?
truth, to oversimplify, is something that's true without my, subjectivity. So like without my thoughts, something exists in a state of reality or of like that there's something outside of my perception that exists. So for instance,
Like a law of the universe,
yes,
or like the law of physics.
right. But the troubling aspect of that is that the law of physics or law of the universe is something that a person came up with and that is comprehended by people. So to be able to understand it is to be subjective in a sense. So there's no such thing as an objective reality, because your your eyesight or what you feel with your hands or what you hear, so your senses, they're interpretations of your brain, and that's how it helps you exist as a person. So these are all interpretations. They're all like wavelengths that your brain's interpreting as sight or as sound, and this is not an objective reality. So there's something outside of. So I'm just curious, like, is there something outside of our perception that's real, or is it just like all our perception and nothing else is real?
Wow. Well, then you come back to like individual, perspective and perception, like you're calling it. It's like even the three of us here, although we like were, we kind of grew up in like a same area more or less. We kind of like more or less grew up in like a similar demographic. We all have like super different life experiences. We all have different hardships and challenges. We've all had like different learning curves we've had to overcome. And I guess in that
Sounds
way,
as-
we all have like these different subjective truths. And I'm still not totally sure I understand. I guess I hear what you're saying. It's like, could something exist outside of like what we know and realize?
Yeah,
Of course, it has to.
Yeah.
You know how limited we are as human beings.
Right.
So, like, I don't know. How could there not?
Yeah, how could there
You
not,
know?
in a sense that... But it's
How
just,
could there not
it's
be
so
anything
funny
else
because
but, like, your
it's,
perspective, you know?
it's like a broken
At the
machine.
same time,
a
it's kind of
broken...
a paradox, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a
It's
total
a paradox because a broken machine cannot fix itself because it itself is broken. So it's like you're trying to reach outside of your head, but all you're using is like all you can use is human logic and like human reasoning.
Yeah, but that's
I'd say
like
there's other things you could use, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
But
No,
have
you
to-
can't.
No, I mean, logic and reasoning, I feel like it really only can take you so far. There's like other things to us besides like logic and reasoning, you know?
Oh, I hear you. But I
Like-
mean, what I'm saying is it all comes from your human mind.
yeah, you just, I mean, what are you gonna do about that? You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
So, like, it's you just
so
accept
why
it.
even think? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So why even But that's the school of thought. That's the school of thought you have to come to.
Is that like nihilism?
In
don't
a
think
sense,
so.
I'm
I don't think
definitely
so.
like I would consider myself nihilistic over anything. Like
Can you explain what that means for you a little bit? Like, I think you kind of already did some.
nihilism is the belief that nothing matters, that there's no objective purpose or
So do
meaning
you-
to anything.
And you believe that, or
Yeah, that's kind of my.
I don't know. I don't think you do.
Yeah, maybe not. I think that's my underlying tone that like defines my depression, maybe, and I believe that everything else is kind of like an escape to something to escape that thought pattern.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
No,
everything,
definitely.
it's
I
just
can
like
relate
to
to that.
to soothe myself, so I don't realize that like, oh, I just truly don't believe in anything.
Ooh, yeah.
Everything else is just like bullshit.
Yeah. I can think. Well, I don't know what I can say about that. That's
That's a rabbit hole.
yeah. That's
You could really go down into that.
I want to kind of. I don't want to jump. I mean, I wanted to ask Brian about what book you just quoted for your truth quote.
Oh. Yeah,
You said you mumbled it. It was like it sounded like Indian scripture or something.
yeah, pretty much.
Not
so,
to. I mean, I don't know if we were.
I mean, so, you know, when I went to go study to be a yoga teacher, I went and like lived at this place immersively, and every day we, you know, did yoga and yogic practices. And
What was
stuff.
that called?
I went to a place called Satchidananda Ashram, and
Where's
Swami
that?
Satchidananda is like the guru of the ashram, and he's kind of like a founder and like a modern saint, if you will.
Where's this?
It's actually in Virginia.
Is
you
he
can-
alive?
He's no longer alive in the body, so he like attained samadhi, as they call it, through like a realized death. Basically, he's like enlightened soul. It's pretty much like God manifested as a human being.
And when did he die? This person?
I think like early 2000s, late 90s,
oh,
maybe.
okay. So he like just died.
Recently, like in
So
the past
as
couple
far as that's
decades.
concerned, it sounds like just
Basically,
to-
that just like respects like everyone's subjectivity. If you think about it, truth is one, paths are many. So we all come to like these, and I'm not an enlightened soul. Like I'm not like a swami or a
yeah, but you'd
guru,
like to
but,
think you're heading in that direction, whatever that means, right?
Well, I think if you look at it as like well, I guess first you have to like identify and believe in like a soul, and if you don't, then it's kind of like you're just, you know, that's not your path. You might be traveling down a different path.
Interesting.
And maybe like, and then if you like open your mind to the idea of like, maybe there's a life outside of this, or maybe like time's not linear. Maybe there's like a lot of, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get too like, I don't wanna get too off track.
That's cool.
Truth is one, paths are many. So it just is essentially respecting that subjective difference that everyone has, but we are all still in our lives, like, hopefully, like learning something. Hopefully we're like discovering those truths in our lives, like the things that are really important, the things that bring like happiness to ourselves or other people. And that doesn't mean that like,
Yeah. So when you
doesn't mean that
quoted,
bad things don't exist.
when
or
you
like,
quoted that, you said it was from. So he said that this guy that was enlightened. And
Yeah.
what was his name again?
Swami Satchidananda.
Okay, word. What language is that?
Satchitananda is Sanskrit.
Sanskrit.
Shit.
Is Sanskrit the language?
Ananda.
Is that
So you
a
have truth, knowledge, bliss is the breakdown.
Whoa.
Sat means truth in Sanskrit. Chit means
Are you saying
Uh,
Sanskrit or Sanskrit?
Sanskrit. Sanskrit's like a
The first language written.
yeah, it's an old
Really?
language. It's really
the first
old.
written language. Yeah.
Cool. I
Um,
didn't.
Discovered.
And I
Okay.
would love to get somebody that's like really knowledgeable to like break all that down because it's actually really amazing. And you can just like
I bet.
you can just get really deep into some really ancient wisdom. Yeah, and then you get into things where people are like, well, where in the world did all this stuff come from? And I'd be getting in over my head, but like, so you could like read the Vedas, which is like a really, really old set of books and scriptures, which is pretty much like original transmission from like, I mean, they'll like,
It's like Hindi, isn't it?
yeah, I think so.
The Vedas?
Hindi. I thought Hindi is a language.
Hindu,
And
Hinduism.
Hinduism
Oh,
is
okay,
the
my bad.
religion. I
Yeah,
think.
Hindi is like a regional language in India.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But no, to kind of just get back to like truth is one and paths are many. It's like that just like takes the time to recognize the same in everything instead of
I like
constantly
that,
being
yeah.
like, oh, like I was raised Christian, like I believe in Jesus, he's my Lord and Savior. And those of you that practice Islam are going to hell. Like yikes, that's kind of an old story, you know. So this is more so like we're all. It's a lot more like universal. That's really what it comes down to is like recognizing the universal truth that we're all human.
Mm.
We're all on a path, our path, and we're all like discovering ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
I think you can break
Yeah.
it down as simply as that.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's my truth quote.
Nice. I could take it. There's one more. I'm thinking of a quote right now that we talked about earlier, Brian. I think 2 days ago.
We were talking about salt quotes the other day.
Yeah, we were. No,
Salt.
it wasn't one of those. It was
Salt of the earth.
it was the
Put some salt on
what was the one that you thought of?
When it rains, it pours.
it. What's
That
to do
is
with
a
salt?
saying.
Morton Salt came up with that.
Oh, good one, Jared.
So
Morton Salt.
yeah. So it doesn't clump
So-
together in moisture. So when it rains and becomes moist, it still pours. It still pours out of the bottle.
So this is like a
So instead of like putting rice in it or something like that, like they put a chemical in it. So when it so actually the saying "when it rains it pours" is from salt. It's not from like raining. It just means pours like literally out of the bottle, like it's from Morton Salt.
Like the company.
Yeah, it's
That's
not.
crazy.
Yeah. It's not from like rain.
huh.
Yeah, Morton Salt's not a guy. By the way, for those of you that are like, oh, Morton Salt came up with that big
Oh,
big quote.
Yeah. That thank you for clarifying. That's actually what I thought. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
that's
Jake's like,
a
oh, Morton
person.
Salt, didn't he write that book?
What's Morton Salt? That's a
It's
water
a-
company.
It's one of the biggest kosher salt companies.
Okay. Nah, I
Jared's
was-
also Jewish, right?
Yes, I am.
Is he
My
Hebrew?
mom.
Yeah.
My mom was Jewish when she was living. Now she's dead.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Did you?
God bless her.
Yeah. I was gonna say the
How
quote.
long ago was that, Jared?
She died
What's the date? Do you remember?
January 3rd, 2019.
So about a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah, year and a half
Wow,
ago.
So recently.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she went kaputs.
He's donezo. That's crazy. I mean, I guess not many. I mean, I don't know. Mom, I was talking to someone and I mentioned that, and I was like, well, we are like adults now, basically. I don't know. People die. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad found her dead in the bathroom.
Dang.
She overdosed on heroin.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was laced with fentanyl.
Dang.
Oh, wow.
That's
So
what
it was
got
a
her.
bad batch.
Bad batch.
Dang.
B
Yeah,
squared.
you're playing with fire at
What?
that point, you
bad,
know.
bad batch. B squared. There's two B's.
Oh, nice. What is that called? Anyway.
You guys want to just like have like a couple deep breaths for all the people that have died from heroin and
Sure.
that nasty addiction?
Sure.
Can we do that? Can we just like, yeah, just tune out for
I'll
a
take
second,
one.
tune in, take a deep
Here we go.
breath.
I don't care about it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother you? You don't miss her?
I don't think so. I don't think about it that much, which is weird. I haven't cried about it.
Do you feel like it's? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Please.
No, I mean, are you being real about that though? Because earlier you mean this is, and I don't want to turn this into like the Shrink
Yeah.
Jared's Head podcast, but if you're cool, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm open.
Like I mean, like earlier, you were like you kind of are an open guy, but like you also like what kind of like lie to protect yourself, or just like avoid having to like delve into any of those uncomfortable subjects. And I don't want to push the envelope for you, but maybe this is an uncomfortable subject. It's obviously like,
I'm not uncomfortable about it,
Yeah.
which is weird.
that's so interesting. I
yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird. I just haven't felt that much.
how
Well,
long
I
was your
guess-
mom
Can
using for before she passed? Was it like was it pretty much like a long time coming?
Yeah.
That's hard.
What were you saying, Jake?
Well, I was gonna say that, like, I guess when usually people think about their moms dying, it's like, I guess she was with you since you were born. You know what I mean? And she's like, I haven't lost my mom, but I couldn't really imagine. But like people just assume that I guess it would be really like emotional and like something been ripped out of you or something when really I guess I don't know. I was just that's what I was.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is like she lived with me my whole life. She wasn't like, I wasn't separated from her. So like she raised me and I lived with her forever. And
Yeah.
she struggled with addiction for a long time. I didn't know about it until like after high school. And then probably like in the last 5 years of her life, or maybe like a little shorter, maybe like the last 3 years of her life, she definitely was like, I would say she was like, she was losing it. She wasn't, she just wasn't lucid, really.
Dang.
She was like a shadow of herself, kind of.
Yeah.
That's what heroin does too. It just really like just eats away at the person, right? So
Yeah.
it's almost like it wasn't even your mom at the end, like in a way. Like,
Right.
is that too presumptuous of me to say?
No, not at all. She lost her soul. Yeah, like you could look in her eyes and it wasn't there. Like she wasn't there behind her eyes.
Dang.
Do you
When
think
was
behind that, like, do you think that there was any part of her left anywhere in there, or do you think it was just all gone?
I think there was a part of her behind her eyes, like a part of her in her youth, maybe, that was just like screaming, but it's in a soundproof room,
Like
and just
no one
like
was listening.
yeah, and it's just forever screaming, like, and scratching and like gnawing and yearning, and it's just like not being heard, and it's just this part of yourself that's completely desperate, but it's just not going to be heard because it's just like taken by time and like taken by experience. It's kind of like that what's the Robin Williams movie, Dead Poet Society? There's that really good scene or quote where he makes the guy stand up who is like kind of he's just like not very well spoken in the class, and he makes him like say a poem like to the class, and he's like the sweaty tooth madman is like he's basically talking about how it's basically like circles back around to death, and he's saying like it's this thing where as no matter as much as you scream or you cry or you claw or you plead, it just grabs you and sucks you under. And I feel like there was probably something like that existing in my mom that we didn't know about.
Sure.
But no, when I say it, I mean it. Like I have not cried about my mom dying. Maybe it's hard for me to access my emotions in some way. I think. Well, I'm medicated, by the way, so I'm on antidepressants. I'm on Paxil, 40 milligrams, which is like pretty heavy.
Okay.
So maybe in a sense, I'm a little deafened
Possibly.
to emotions. I think sometimes I feel a little dead inside, maybe like from the medicine
Yeah.
that I didn't notice before.
Yeah.
So I think that's possibly a reason why I'm not feeling that.
Yeah.
That is probably a fair statement. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but
Yeah.
I know, like, I remember, like, at one time, I mean, I think antidepressants are really over-prescribed, and I don't want to, this is really, like, this is me just being
slightly informed for sure.
being slightly informed, but just from my personal experiences, it does change people, the way they feel things, the way they process things, even the way they, like, identify with themselves, and for some people that are, like, really severely depressed or like suicidal, like they need a little more of that buffer, maybe alongside another model of therapy, like a talk therapy or exercise or whatever it is that they can use to kind of empower themselves. But Yeah, antidepressants
I did talk therapy.
And sometimes it just is a bust. Sometimes it's like it just is a waste of time. But
Yeah, I think I need to do it. I need to try it again because
you just gotta find the right person, man.
Yeah.
It's all about finding the right person.
Yeah.
Once you get the right person, it's like, I don't know. So I mean,
Yeah.
like I know I did, and it was like there was a couple times where I like had to do therapy, like as a teenager, for like substance abuse stuff, and like for just fighting with my parents or just going against the grain. And it was like, you're going to counseling. It's like, screw counseling. I don't want to do that. Like that's worthless. But actually, like, and so I obviously didn't get anything out of it because I wasn't ready to get anything out of it. But like years down the road, it was like, actually, I've got some stuff that I want to talk to someone about, and like it can't be mom or dad, it can't be my coworker, it can't be my girlfriend or wife. Like, I need to just go kind of sort some things out and just like. And I think after like 4 or 5 sessions, I'm pretty sure the guy was like pretty much like ready to wrap it up with me because he was like, "I'm retiring. Like, you know, I think that like."
Because of you.
I'm retired.
I sent this guy out of his business because he was tired of it. No, actually, he didn't retire, so I was a little bit weirded out about that afterwards.
Oh, what?
Like he lied to me.
Oh,
Maybe like
shit.
he was just like, this kid's too far gone. Like,
He didn't understand the axioms.
no,
See, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't a great therapist.
no.
maybe.
But I guess I said what I had to say to be like, I'm good now. So
I just don't think there's anyone. Well, you know, I have to keep trying. I just haven't yet to meet someone where I can be honest with. I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever. I don't feel like there's anyone in my life who I can be honest with.
well,
you be
I'm
honest
sure
with
that's
yourself?
probably an exaggeration. You know, because like I'm sure you could be honest. But, like if someone like cooked you like a meal and it was like, this tastes really bad, I'm sure part of you might be able to be like, it's not my favorite. You don't have to roast them about it, but
100%.
you know what I mean.
100%.
So there's a degree of honesty there. Or if you get stuck in traffic and you're like, that was a bitch,
100%.
you might be like, traffic was bad.
Yeah, you're completely right. I was way overstating that.
But do you want to talk about maybe what you meant, like? And we can switch.
No, what I
subjects at
meant
any
is
time.
like, you know, the very depths of what you think and like who you are, and like the things, or maybe not
You know,
the
like getting,
depths
like,
of
really
who you are,
vulnerable,
because that's
like-
even overstating it. So
Yeah.
the things that you hate about yourself, or the things that you find troubling about yourself, those things I don't feel like I have anyone to talk about. To.
Well, I definitely don't think you're alone. I feel like probably most people feel that way.
You're right.
Honestly, so this
You're
is something
totally
that
right.
Jake and I talked about. Like, I kind of was asking him, like, you know, kind of like, what are you hoping to get out of the podcast? Like, obviously, we're kind of here to like support each other and like promote our own projects, like promote Jake as a musician, and like I think that's all on the table and it's productive. But also, like, when I was asking myself, like, why do I want to do this? It's like, because I think people not only like want to talk, but people need to talk. People need to connect. And if you go beyond talking, like, because talking can be a little overrated. Sometimes it just is like people have a lot to say about
Sure.
nothing, and that's okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
But, I feel like people need it.
I
People
agree.
need to connect.
Ah, man, that's hardcore. I just feel like, yeah, that's
that is too hardcore,
dude,
for
that's
me.
metal.
That's
Dude, I feel like it's the need of our time, for real.
Yeah,
Like, people.
I mean that.
Me too.
that's dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardcore in a sense that, like, well, what's really interesting is, you know, I think we get lost sometimes because we have a language. So we have this language and we have these sounds that we make that we comprehend.
Yeah.
And behind that language, there's intention. And that intention is shared by all living things, it seems like. And somewhere in the translation between intention and language, there's something lost. And I think like language, you need to speak 1,000 words before one word of intention can be spoken, you know?
Dude, yeah.
So it's like it's lost in translation. That's the quote.
Have you ever met somebody that like you like listen to or talk to, and you could just hear like every word was really intentional, like someone that was just super present?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you want me to say?
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I feel that way about Peterson sometimes, just when I'm listening to him. It just connects with me, like, for some reason. I'm not trying to, like, push him or anything. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I connected to him on like some level because he kind of like pinpointed a couple things, and I was like, oh, I definitely agree with that, you know. And like the way he said a specific thing, I was like, it kind of unlocked some doors for me. So then I'm like, what else does this guy have to say? You know, is he gonna say anything else that like totally makes sense? Do you know what I mean? And so a lot of things do after that point. It was just those first couple that I did hear. It sounded like the truth to me. It sounded like I was moving away from death listening to what he was saying. Like, to get back to the death thing, because you know you can have a feeling. I don't know if that was on air, off air, as far as the podcast, but there can be a feeling where you wanna, yeah, like if I keep going in this direction, it leads to death. You know, I'm gonna die. You know, I gotta move. You know, so
What do you mean? Because like it all leads to death.
yeah, but like
I mean,
you
like
can
a bad decision, like an early.
well, you
death?
can live. You can live during your life, or you can die during your life. That's I'll say the
Whoa.
Shawshank quote: "Get
Whoa.
busy living, get busy dying. Get busy living, or get busy dying." So you have a choice. You know, so to bring this all around and pass back over to one of y'all, it's like when Peterson says those words that I heard as true, they were true words that I could use as a tool. So going back to the language and words as a tool, like you can use words to do things. Some people are walking by.
Dude, I see. I mean, that's kind of like the feeling I get when you stumble upon a figurehead or whatever that you
Sure.
connect with. Like Ram Dass or Jack Cornfield. I really connected with.
Yeah. Who's that?
He's a
It's like a beatnik, like poet,
Oh, really?
author.
Dude, I'm all about the beats.
he studied under like a guru type guy in India, and like he served in the Peace Corps. His father was like he's like a descendant of geniuses essentially, but he's basically is he's a Westerner that studied Eastern thought and helped bring it to the West. Kind of similar to like Alan Watts.
Alan Watts, yeah.
And
Young did it a little bit too.
and but he's not. I don't think he's not a follower of like Neem Karoli Baba, who that's like who Ram Dass and like his crew follows. Is there's a guru Neem Karoli Baba who gave Ram Dass his name, who named like a lot of those guys, and I don't quite think he's like he rolls with that crew, but he's not like a worshiper.
He interprets it and like translates it through his own lens in a way. Almost translates it for like a greater audience. Because unfortunately, like a lot of people like, and this just comes back to like perspective and like subjectivity. Like people look at like yoga, people look at like Ram Dass, people look at like things that are unfamiliar and immediately are like, oh, that's a cult, or that's not legitimate, or that's like they raise their eyebrows at it, you know.
Sure.
But I think
Yeah.
Jack Cornfield and like some of those other guys just like embodied like they realized he didn't have to be anybody else. He didn't have to like wear the clothes or he just he was like self-realized. He's like a self-realized dude.
He's pure. He's just like pure. Duncan Trussell describes him as human chamomile tea. Human chamomile tea. He's like he's just like the second you hear. Maybe it's because I was prompted to, but when I hear his voice, like I relax. Like it feels like I release muscles that I didn't realize I was tensing.
Nice. I need to listen.
Yeah, and he's
check him out.
pure love and understanding.
Yeah.
And it's also like in the, this is something you're born with, but like it's in the quality of his voice, like literally in the tonation. Like
I think it's in like the intentionality too. It's like in his
Sure.
presence. He just is so mindful. Like before he speaks, he's just present. You know, he's just one of those guys. You just like you could just almost tune into like a wavelength.
yeah,
That this guy's just on all the time, but that he's had to cultivate.
yeah,
'Cause it's hard work. It's not. I mean, maybe some people are just born with that,
yeah.
but he's had to work at it.
So Duncan Trussell, he's a comedian, and like he's very deep into Buddhism and philosophy, and he lost his mother maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and he had a really beautiful opening to one of his podcasts where he was talking about, you know, how much he loved his mom
Mm-hmm.
and what she meant to him and like how hard it was to lose her. And then this was a prelude to a podcast that he did on retreat in Hawaii, which is the Ram Dass retreat done every year, every couple seasons or whatever. And so he recorded a podcast with Jack Kornfield and with I'm gonna forget the other guy's name. Darn, he's really good too. Anyway, so he does this like really heartfelt speech, you know, about his mom, and it's like very beautiful. And then he starts the podcast with Jack Kornfield, and he tells Jack that his mom died, and you know, Jack, all he said was like, he said, "I feel for you," and the way he said it was so like intent, like there's so much intention behind it that it like brought tears to my eyes. Like I'm honestly like almost getting like teary-eyed talking about it.
Yeah.
Like he felt it so completely and really that it like really touched me.
Ooh, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
To be that intentional in what you say.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah. In very simple terms.
So like, he like invoked a sense of empathy in you, that where you like felt what he was feeling.
Yeah.
That's
Where
really
I
powerful.
I really felt what it feel like. I consider myself an empathetic person.
I would agree with that.
In a sense, where, you know, empathy is different than sympathy. In that empathy is what you feel. You can feel what someone else is feeling, not just comprehend it. And when he said that, like, someone can invoke empathy, which is interesting. Like, you can invoke empathy in someone else. Like, you can make someone else feel something because you're so intentional, or because you're so well thought out, or just you know, that's who
Yeah.
you are.
Maybe you just feel it so deeply.
Right.
You know, you just believe it so deeply. You're just like so immersed that it's like, whoa, yeah.
Well,
That's really.
I want to ask Brian, because you asked originally, has anyone ever spoken that you've felt that? Because I kind of said my guy, and Jared kind of said his.
Oh yeah, well I think that, yeah, I mean absolutely. Like, I think I'm like really drawn to people that go that extra mile to be intentional and to be like authentic. It comes down to like level of like being authentic, and also like, yeah, like kind of being like, being intentional, being humble. Like, I just people that just like, I just like really respect what they're
Yeah.
doing. You know, it's like, to me, like, what else could you aspire to be other than like a like an awake and aware, like, empathetic human being? At the very least, you know, even if you don't like have some like big solution for like some of the global issues that exist, and
Sure.
you can't like save everybody. That's not the point, but like,
Yeah, but you can
could
do
just-
like yourself.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. It's where it always comes back to. But yeah, a lot of people, like I know, like one of the people that comes to mind, and they do a podcast too, and I can't remember their last names right now. I feel really bad, but Alex and Laura are this couple, and they're just really fantastic. They're from Colombia, South America, and it's like a husband-wife. They got like a couple of kids, and they do. Essentially, they have this whole like, I guess it's technically like kind of a business, but it's really just like their life work. And someone else just kind of came in and like helped them brand it and like helped them like drive it forward, like a mission statement. But it's called Ancestral Knowledge, where they essentially are like preserving the teachings of like indigenous people around the world. And yeah, they're just going around just doing their thing. They do like sweat lodges and like plant medicine ceremonies, and kind of team up with other people that have like studied like traditional Chinese medicine or acupuncture or like you know, Western medicine a little bit. But so yeah, but I mean, like when you sit down in front of Alex and he starts to talk, and then like Laura starts to translate, you just kind of sit there and you're just like, you can just tell this stuff is just like, it's not even him, it's just coming right through him. And for me, like, people like that are just really special. Like, he doesn't want any credit for it. He's not like, this is like my thoughts. It's just, he's just being love. He's just emanating love. and you just feel it. Just like you were saying, Jared, it's like moving. You like feel it in your bones, like you feel it like in your gut, like that little like thing that just kind of ticks in your gut, and you're like, oh my god, like I could just cry right now, like I don't know. So yeah, to answer your question, I could think of some people.
Cool. Well, I think I'll end on a song, I guess, because we're right around the hour mark.
Flew by.
Yeah, it happened.
I appreciate you guys, by the way, on the record. I appreciate you guys a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And this song kind of has to do with everything we've been talking about too, because we start off with a Nirvana song, and I feel like I just want to say, like, as far as music culture, like Kurt Cobain has been like a really big influence on a lot of young musicians, and he ended up ending his life. So I feel like that's in our culture, and like,
what do you mean, suicide?
yeah, I mean, well, like being a musician and going after whatever ends tragically, you know. So it's like that's not a great, at least for me personally. I guess I'm talking from a personal perspective at this point.
Would you guys like be open to, you know, killing yourselves right now?
No.
Okay.
Jared is holding a vial of blue Kool-Aid, and it looks like he's got like a little something written here. No, that was just a dark joke, everyone. I hope.
Anyway, I don't know what I really have to say about that. I'm gonna play though. Check.
Future fields, dark heavy curtain, suffocating your spirit, blocking your long distance vision, placing dreams with just expectation, and you are stuck. You're still stuck with art. This phase is your hand. Dark room that cannot be best. Dark curtain that cannot be shook. Stole my precious closeness to subconscious and walked away. Oh, stars, but you came, I will not blame you for what you do. Bad ones go, the good ones, eh? Beauty or lie, stole my high, dunked in blue. Dunked in all who you were. It's all you believe. All you were. All you believe. Rift was accidentally open. Weak side where you were being sloppy. Whimsy to create friction. I was taught to believe it. Subtle evil. A secret agent, but that was false. Got him by the same curse. Rips and repeats. Seeps and scores at once and better choosing now. Tumble and drift. Light and shift. Hands to cracks and shake. And to cracks. Shaking all who you were. It's all you believe. Alright, cool. See you next week.
Thanks for listening. That was amazing. What an incredible song. What was that?
That was my song.
track, I think.
That was incredible.
Woo!